Today we are going to try to understand various concepts of Hinduism. Please, leave any correction, or statement, or argument in the comments section. We will try to have an educated discussion. I am looking forward to learn from your perspectives too. Time, and creation of the universe. Hinduism concept of time, and the origins of the universe is one that has no beginning, and no end. This present universe was preceded by an infinite number of universes, which will be followed by another infinite number of universes. Hinduism believes in one supreme God, the Brahman. Before we move forward, Brahman is not Brahma, as we will see in the later part of video. Everything is a part of, and a manifestation of Brahman, the ultimate reality. However, Brahman's qualities and powers may be represented by a great diversity of gods and deities, all of which emanate from the Brahman. The concept of Brahman, and the relationship of the Supreme Being with nature, individual souls, and the Brahman's various manifestations, are the subject of many different Hinduism schools of philosophy or belief. With its cyclical notion of time, Hinduism teaches that the material world is created not once but repeatedly, time and time again. Additionally, this universe is considered to be one of many, all enclosed like innumerable bubbles floating in space. Within this universe, there are three main regions: the heavenly planets, the earthly realm, and the lower worlds. Multiple scriptures go into some detail as to the nature of these regions, and their respective inhabitants. Hinduism is therefore not predominantly earth-centered, and puts much emphasis on other planes of existence, various material abodes, and the spiritual realm itself. One account of creation. Vishnu, as soul of the entire cosmos, produces countless universes from his breathing, and the pores of his skin. He enters each universe, as the universal soul. From his navel springs a lotus flower, upon which is born Brahma. Brahma performs austerity, and creates the world from sound, beginning with the Gayatri Mantra. The Bhagavata Purana contains a doctrine of the avatars of Vishnu, and teaches of Vaishnava theology. God is transcendent, and beyond human understanding, through his incomprehensible creative ability, or Maya, or specific power, or Atmashakti he expands himself into the universe, which he pervades, and which is his outward appearance, his immanence. The Lord creates the world merely because he wills to do so. Creation, or rather the process of differentiation, and integration, is his sport, or lila. The universe, earth, and all creatures were created by Brahma, the creator god of Trinity, and one of the many gods that emanated from the Brahman. Thus, Hinduism may be considered a monotheistic religion, as in Hinduism there is one supreme God, whose qualities and forms may be represented by a multitude of deities, all which emanate from him. The Brahman is manifested as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. They comprise the Trinity, where Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the preserver, and Shiva is the dissolver, or destroyer. The birth and dissolution of the present universe is directly connected to Brahma's life. Human time, and that of the gods is different. The lifespan of Brahma, or Mahakalpa, or Parada is estimated by some to be over 300 trillion human years. One day and night in Brahma's space and time, Kalpa, is believed to be over 8 billion human years. Each Kalpa is further divided into two Arthakalpas, one day and night, and each of these is further divided into 100 Mahayugas. Each Mahayuga consists of a series of 4 shorter yugas, or ages: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Satya Yuga, or Golden Age, is the first and best era. It is a time of truth and perfection. It is seen as a golden age because there is just one Dharma, one religious path, and all humans are saintly. As a result, they are not required to perform religious ceremonies. During this yuga, humankind possesses many virtues, they are physically large and powerfully built, and they are honest, youthful, vigorous, erudite, and virtuous. The 4 Vedas are one. All humans can attain bliss. There is no need for agriculture, or mining, as earth yields those riches on its own. The weather is pleasant, and everyone is happy. There are no religious sections. There is no disease, decrepitude, or fear of anything. Treta Yuga is considered to follow the Satya even though Treta means the third part, or the collection of three. During this era, virtue begins to diminish. At the beginning of this past yuga, many kings and emperors rose to dominance, and conquered the world. Conflict and wars were frequent, and the weather began to have periods of extreme conditions. Oceans and deserts were formed. Humans began to diminish in physical and other aspects compared to their ancestors. Agriculture, labor, and mining began to meet the needs of humans. During Treta Yuga, humans' virtue declined by a quarter of what it was in the previous yuga. Dvapara Yuga is considered to be the third yuga. Dvapara means two pair, or after two. In this era, people become tainted with negative qualities, such as pessimism, laziness, criminal tendencies, and doubt, and are weak in comparison to their ancestors. The Vedas are divided into 4 parts. During this era, diseases are rampant, and humans are unhappy, and fight each other. Kali Yuga is the final era or stage, which we are currently living. It is a time of darkness and ignorance. Humans are sinners, and lack virtue. They are slaves to their passions and are barely as powerful as their earliest ancestors in the Satya Yuga. Social cohesion and respect are lost, and humans become liars and hypocrites. It is a time when knowledge is lost, and scriptures diminished. The environment is polluted, water and food become scarce. Wealth is heavily diminished. Families become non-existent. At the end of this stage, the world, and all living things will be destroyed, and then a new Satya Yuga will follow. One God with many manifestations. In any Hindu temple one is likely to find many divine images, or murtis, in the form of statues, or prints. Even when the central image in the temple may be of one particular deity, surrounding this central sanctum, or image there may be a dozen subsidiary shrines to various deities. In Hinduism, the concept of God varies from one sect to another. Due to its historical development, Hinduism tends to be a regional religion, rather than a single doctrinal religion. Some describe Hinduism as encompassing a broad range of perspectives on the nature of God. In Hinduism, God is one, but also many. This one ultimate reality, whether you refer to it as the Brahman, the divine, or the real, can be perceived in, and through an infinite number of names and forms. The Hinduism concept of God and deity varies from supreme God, known as Parmeshwar, or Paramatma, to a personal God such as in the Yoga school of Hindu philosophy, to 33 Vedic deities, to hundreds of deities as described in the Puranas. For example, Ram and Krishna were reincarnated from the supreme God. So a follower of Hinduism might worship the Brahman, Ram, or Krishna. In Hinduism, God permeates all things animate, or inanimate and, as they enhance our well-being, intellect, and spirituality, one worships them. For example, the sun provides us with warmth and life, so we respect the sun god. Our parents protect us, feed us, guide us, and look after our well-being, so we respect our parents as gods. Another way to think of the gods in Hinduism is to think of their different manifestations that relate to roles. For example, for a student, someone is a teacher, to the teacher's wife, he is husband, and to his parents, he is a son. To his children, he is father. For a shopkeeper, he is a customer. He is also a grandson, an uncle, a friend, and a person. Although the teacher, as a person is one, he takes on many different roles or relationship. The philosophical system of Advaita, or non-dualism developed in the Vedanta school of Hindu philosophy, is the belief that everything is part of one consciousness. Things can appear different without being separate. Just look at your hand for a moment. Your fingers are all different from each other, but are they really separate? They all arise from the same hand. Similarly, the objects, animals, plants, and people in the world are all different in their appearance and functioning, however, they are all connected at their source, they come from the same source. This one being that is behind all life has an infinite number of different expressions, that we experience as different objects. Advaita is rooted in the Upanishads, and was popularized by Adi Shankara in the 8th century. This perspective would become the basis of mainstream Hinduism as it developed in the medieval period. Non-dualism sees the identity of the self or Atman, with the whole, or the Brahman, and can be described as monism, or pantheism. Explicit monotheism is found in the sacred texts of the Bhagavad Gita, and gave rise to several religious traditions. Explicit monotheism in the form of bhakti, or devotion to a single, external, and personal deity, in the form of Shiva or Vishnu, became popular in South India in the early medieval period. Ecstatic devotion to Krishna, a form of Vishnu, gained popularity throughout India during the Middle Ages, and gave rise to schools of Vaishnavism. Ecstatic devotion to the goddess Durga became popular in some parts of India, in the later medieval and early modern ages, and gave rise to schools of Shaktism. Vaishnavism, particularly Krishnaism, Shaktism, and some forms of Shaivism remain the most explicit forms of monotheistic worship of a personal god within Hinduism. In other philosophy, or tradition Hinduism, such as many of those who practice Shaivism, tend to assume the existence of a singular god, but do not necessarily associate God with aspects of a personality. Rather, they envisage God as an impersonal absolute, or Brahman, who can be worshipped only in part, in a human form. While many deities of Hinduism have distinct and complex personalities, many adherents would insist that this diversity of expressions of God must be understood in relation to God's oneness. Brahman is the name of that one God, that transcends all personal names. Brahman is one, though the names and forms of this one are many. This one God Brahman may be seen in and through an array of names and forms. Thus all the gods represented, or present in a Hindu temple are different representations of the one supreme being, even though each has its own personality and attributes. Brahman also manifests as the world of multiplicity and plurality, and may assume divine physical forms, or avatar from time to time, for the preservation of righteousness. 3 prominent avatars are Rama, Krishna, and Buddha. The many deities worshipped in Hinduism are considered various aspects of the Brahman. The Brahman is understood as the ineffable, invisible, and transcendent all-pervasive reality, underlying the world of sense perception. The Brahman is eternal and formless, and amounts to the highest form of truth within Hinduism. Furthermore, because all things participate in the Brahman, the concept suggests an essential underlying unity to existence. Glimpsing, sharing in, understanding, or joining with the Brahman, are the focus of many Hindu spiritual and religious devotions and practices. All things come from the Brahman. This is the basis for the concept of interdependence and interconnection between all things. Vasudhaiva Kutubakam, the whole world is one family. Atman is the true inner self of the individual, which carries on from one life to another. It is the soul, or nature of all living things, not only humans, but animals too. Atman refers to the way that individual existence is part of, and intertwines in the divine. Liberation from birth and rebirth, or death and re-death, consists in fully merging the Atman with the Brahman, or Paramatma. Definitions of some important terms in Hinduism. Dharma indicates moral order, duty, and righteous conduct, and is related to the concept of swadharma, one's own duty as it relates to their role in their journey of life. Karma is the belief that actions have both moral and pragmatic consequences. Each and every action, thought, and belief are thought to have consequences, not only on one's current life, but on future lives. Thus the rebirth of an individual can take nearly unlimited forms, and is dictated by one's accumulated karma in the present life, and in previous lives. Samsara is the wheel, or cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. It is a cyclical process that continues, until one reaches a state of enlightenment and freedom. In Hinduism belief, upon death, one begins a process of rebirth into a new life. After death, the body is cremated, to break the attachment of the soul to the physical body. Moksha, also known as nirvana, is the term for liberation from the cycle of samsara. It is considered an honor, to be born human, since only a human is capable of pursuing moksha. Typically, attaining moksha requires many birth-rebirth cycles, and is a difficult, involved various process. The Brahman is an impersonal reality. Many in Hinduism worship particular manifestations of the Brahman, such as Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesha, Krishna, Rama, Hanuman, Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, and many more. In some sense, Hinduism appears as polytheistic. However, the various gods and goddesses are viewed strictly as embodiments of the divine Brahman, and so the system is monotheistic. Yet, it is also polytheistic. Because you can worship as many gods and goddesses, if you want. You are still a follower of Hinduism. This is the true beauty of Hinduism, as you can worship one, or many, but you are not wrong in either of them. There is a brilliant book, written by Amaury de Riencourt, named, Eye of Shiva, Eastern Mysticism and Science. This book illustrates various theories of modern physics. Those are present in Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, and Gita. It highlights the fact that the concept in Hinduism is really advanced, not just in philosophy, but also in metaphysics. It is a really amazing book, which will leave you speechless about the metaphysics of Hinduism. Although, the book is not easily available in India. Although, beware, the book is little expensive. There is another book you can read, written by Prashant Saxena, namely, Eye of Shiva, Beyond the Quantum Universe. I will leave links in the description, or pin comment on the top, for the both books, if you want to purchase the books from Amazon. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider to hit the like button. Also share the video, and do consider subscribing to the channel. Unfortunately, 99% of the people who are watching my videos aren't subscribed to the channel. I do sincerely hope that you will change that by subscribing to the channel.